For me, any form of social injustice is just wrong. Society should be a place where everybody is equal before the law, irrespective of your positioning, your status, your family, or your background.
Raise your hands if you've ever thought this. Okay, that guy is wearing colorful socks, so he's got to be gay. Or that woman is wearing baggy jeans and no makeup, so she's obviously a lesbian. Now, a lot of us like to classify that under something we call Gaydar. And Gaydar is supposed to be this intuitive way by which we can determine someone's sexuality. But the truth is, many times we're just classifying people based on how they look and what we've been told that look denotes. Now, this, in a way, is stereotyping, and the truth is, whether we like it or not, it is somewhat discriminatory because it affects how we engage with people, especially people that we think are members of the LGBT community. So in today's episode, we're going to be breaking apart this topic of Gaydar. What does it really mean? And is it doing more harm than good? It's going to be an interesting episode, guys.
Society should be a place where everybody is equal before the law, irrespective of your position.
Now, my guest on today's episode is somebody whose work I have followed and admired for a very long time. She's one of those people that helps us to confront and engage with our sexuality in an open-minded, accepting manner. And often you'll catch her on social media asking questions that make people either gasp or respond with honesty that they didn't expect. She's the creative director of My Intimate Pleasure Shop, and her name is Iheoma Obibi. Welcome to the show. Such a good thing to finally meet you. Like, I've been looking forward to it for
Thank you.
ages. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Please have a seat. We're being very proper today. So please have a seat.
Thanks for having me.
It's such a pleasure. It's good to meet you. It's good to meet you. Can you talk us through some of your work, especially as it has to do with sexuality and engaging more openly, with our sexuality?
I think in our context it's extremely difficult.
Yes.
I started my business from a background of international development. I worked in international development for almost 25 years.
Oh, wow.
And for each time I engaged with women at any point, either in rural or urban settings, illiterate, literate, educated, some of the issues were reoccurring issues: sexual health, sexual rights, sexual desire.
Today I want us to talk about this thing that we call Gaydar.
Yeah.
Which, usually people are like, oh, I have a sense about it. But most of the time is how we perceive people. Have you encountered any of these stereotypes where people classify somebody based on how they look or how they talk or how they act?
I think for us in Nigeria, we are extremely judgmental.
Quite.
And what that means is that if the person we're engaging with does not fulfill traditional stereotypes of what they think a gender is supposed to be, then it's automatically classified in the negative.
Yes.
I sell adult toys. I engage in conversations that are sometimes difficult. And I know the number of times I've received messages or phone calls, or I've met someone and they say, oh, so you must be a prostitute then. Oh, so what does your husband think? Yes. And all because I sell adult toys. Not because I've engaged in prostitution. Not because, do you understand me? So it's about perception.
It is.
It's about that already, if you are dealing in those kinds of things, then you must be smoking.
Be a certain kind of person.
So I'll ask me questions. Do you know where they sell hemp? And I'm looking at them just as
because
confused.
You've got dreadlocks.
Yeah, because I have dreadlocks, but also I sell adult toys. So all I'm saying is about perception, and how we perceive each other.
Yes. Yes.
There's a particular perception that if you are married, responsible, then you shouldn't be discussing these things.
Sex in such a casual manner.
Yes, absolutely.
It's very funny how it plays out so much, especially when we're trying to identify someone's sexuality. I know I was on TV a while ago and I had short cropped hair and I was wearing a waistcoat and a shirt. And then somebody says to me, you should go back to wearing weaves because that outfit makes you look like a feminist. I found that very interesting. I think she meant lesbian, but feminist was a euphemism for what she wanted to say.
Absolutely.
And it's very funny that we blanket people, especially as it pertains to their sexuality, simply because of how they look.
Yeah.
So have you And I mean, personally, I know that I have encountered people and I'm like, no, you've got to be gay. And then it turns out they're not. Has that ever happened to you?
Not really, because I've got to the stage now where your sexual preferences, I don't allow it to get in the way of my dealing with you. The choices you make of your sexual partner are those private and personal choices.
So in other words, there's so much more to it than simply what we see on the surface.
Absolutely.
And I'm thinking about what you're saying about, this whole perception thing being about our judgmental attitude and this figure of, okay, you look this way, if you are this way, then you must look this way.
Yeah.
But then what happens in like the fashion industry, for instance, where fashion is mostly an expression of identity. And so you have people who are expressing their identity in ways that are not traditionally male or traditionally female. And they're being boxed into, okay, no, he's in fashion and he's wearing a long jacket, he must be. Again, this locking of people into sexuality roles simply because of how they look. Do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing, especially because of fashion? I
think it's a negative thing. I think locking people into how they look based on how they dress is a terrible thing. I'm a feminist, a rabid, radical, shoot from the hip feminist. I take no prisoners. I'm not shaken, I'm not embarrassed.
The look on your face right now, I'm like, okay, auntie, I'm sorry.
No, and I'm unapologetic about it. I am married, I have children, I haven't changed my name, I haven't done anything.
Look at that.
It doesn't mean I don't love my husband, I'm not going anywhere. Now, what that means is that in doing this business and in this job, I am constantly surprised by how people automatically assume that if you're a feminist,
then you
must be stark raving, loony, you're not married, you're divorced, you're asking everybody to leave their husbands.
Yeah.
It's the same with sexuality, that people's personal spaces cannot determine what they really are. If you understand what I mean? What you do inside your house is private, it's personal. And you can't use that to determine what they're doing outside. And how you dress, how does anybody know that?
Who anybody is.
Yeah, what I'm wearing is determines my sexual needs, desires, wants, and my sexuality.
Then again, with fashion.
Hello, good morning.
What's
Sorry
up?
to disturb you. You're welcome.
Hello, lovely. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
What's wrong now?
Sorry, I was about to give you now.
How you doing?
You look amazing.
Thanks.
Wow,
Thank
this
you.
is so gorgeous.
Thank you.
Okay,
Are you coming to join us?
Oh yes, in a bit. But I want to find out what she would like to have first. You guys have been talking. Don't run out.
Don't treat me with appreciation in this place. That's what I'm going to say.
So would you like to have tea, coffee, water? Okay, water would be good. All right, fine. I'll be back in a minute, please.
Okay, you better come back because I think you have a lot to contribute to this conversation.
Maybe not. You never
come
can
back.
tell.
Tense. So Yomi, this whole Gaydar of a thing. You look this way, so you must be gay, or you look this way, so you must be. I mean, like people have told Iheoma is either a prostitute or a hemp dealer, which I honestly cannot get. But what's your take on this?
Okay, so before I say anything, I'm just gonna stand up and do this. Like, what would you think if you see me dressed like this? Oftentimes I hear people call me an artist, like when I go to the bank or they'll be like, sorry, are you an artist? Are you an actor? Or things like that. Ask me questions. Whereas I'm a lawyer.
Just
Exactly, that's the reality of it all. So basically, stereotyping people can be negative. It literally exudes like it demeans your true essence. It demeans who you literally ought to be. Because if I'm supposed to be a lawyer and I'm supposed to be wearing my white and black,
and
my tie and everything, how will I express myself like this? Even sitting like this wouldn't even be appropriate. Because I'm sure even some people watching this will be like, this guy is just giving us a fabu. He's probably or a community member or something or stuff. But then how would you know? What are the standards to actually tell if this is it or this is not? So basically, stereotyping people is something that really should be out of our society and something that we should just start kicking against, like, outrightly.
But it's even something that happens in the gay community as well, where you believe that, okay, because you're, for instance, where you have a girl who identifies as a tomboy, and there's this mindset that because you're a tomboy, you have to be like as masculine as possible. You're not allowed to show your softer side. You're not allowed to have emotions. So, you can't cry. Exactly. So you have, even within the community, people feeling like they need to put themselves into boxes based on how they are told that they must identify. I don't know if you've experienced that before.
But those are discussions that the heteronormative community, they're coming from a heteronormative angle, basics and standards of understanding relationships. So they take it from that perception.
Yes.
And once you take it from that angle, what then happens is it affects everything else. The funny thing is, I watched a video the other day on YouTube, and it was talking about LGBT community and what butch women need to do in bed. Do they like to be top or bottom? And quite a few of the young ladies, one of them says, yes, I look quite butch, but I actually prefer the bottom.
Just look at that.
I complete, this is what I like. And, and there were quite a few of them like that. Now, when you looked at these women, they looked quite masculine. But what they were saying was the complete opposite
of how they look.
And so that program was also addressing perception as well. So I think for us, we haven't even got to the stage of butch. Well, we're still in the stage of identifying.
Yes.
You understand? Yeah. We haven't gone that far. We are still in the case of a community of one acknowledging who they are.
Yes.
And then acceptance of that before we can then have the other things that go with it. But I don't know whether we'll ever get to that stage because we're quite negative.
It's very interesting how broad this is. But I'm really wanting us to focus on this thing of classification of sexuality based on appearance and this gaydar that everybody seems to have, but which really, when we look at it, is like, okay, yes, you wear multicolored socks or your pants are tight. I'm gonna confess, I've been guilty of it. I'm not going to even, I'm putting my hand up. When you see somebody, you're like, we all know this.
Exactly.
But how can you tell? Because I can't. You see, I must be the only one that's blind. I can't tell the difference.
You said it that you because. Do you think it's because you've had so much work in dealing with people on such a fundamentally honest level that you don't, because the average human being judges based on appearances.
Yes.
And I told you how I was wearing, I had cropped hair and a waistcoat and a shirt, and I was told I looked like a feminist. And I said, I know your dad said I looked like a lesbian. But why that identification of, because my hair was cropped and I was wearing a waistcoat and a shirt, obviously then you must be this way, It's, how do we fix that?
For us in our community, it's going to take a long road to prudential, as they say. It's going to take ages because we are a community with very strong notions of faith and culture. And the convergence of those two, faith and culture, is very rabid in looking at alternative viewpoints. And whether we like it or not, with the global media, YouTube, all these other things, WhatsApp video, you name it, our young people are better able to begin to express themselves.
Yes.
I saw a young man, beautiful, he wore baby pink shirt.
That's no color in our society. Pink.
He wore pink. No, he wore pink and he wore. I saw it at the Palms. I saw him at the Palms, and I couldn't stop staring. He looked stunning. But I could also see, as I was staring in admiration, I saw people looking at him like, the men were looking at him in absolute disgust.
Why would you wear my wife's color?
Why would you wear pink? But this boy looked gorgeous. Young man. You see? And I was in my mind, I was thinking, hey, this is it. But that's just me. I'm a minority.
That's
true. I already have dreads. I'm already straight.
So everybody already thinks that,
So, and I remember getting home and I was having the discussion with my daughter. What do you think about men in different colors? She says, Mom, wouldn't it be a bit weird? Why was he wearing pink? And we actually engaged ourselves in a discussion as to he was wearing pink. Mommy, didn't they think he was a girl?
But why are we so scared? And I know, Iheoma, you've said it, that it's culture and tradition and religion. But why are we so scared of allowing people to express themselves outside our accepted gender norms? Look at the wahala that happened with Charlize Theron and her son, because she had him in a dress, and everybody's like, oh my goodness, why is she doing that? Charlize Theron is the South African actress, and she adopted this little boy. Yeah. And so he's out in public in a little dress, I think because his favorite character is Elsa from Frozen or something like that. But the outcry was ridiculous. Like, why should she have a boy wearing a girl's dress? I mean, if a boy wants to wear a girl's dress,
this is how gender stereotypes are created and societal norms are made. And that's how patriarchy controls all of us. It's about control.
Yes.
It's about control of your sexuality. And because the biggest people on this planet whose sexuality are controlled to the infinite degree are women.
Yes, yes. Very true. Very, very true.
And to even add to that fact, I watched that interview where she actually responded to that, and she was like, she would never limit her child's love for anything or expression for anything. And you could tell this is somebody who genuinely realized that this is what my child loves. To make him happy, I'm going to do this. At the end of the day, I've even watched a documentary whereby a girl at 4 years old told her mother that she didn't feel right being a girl and she wanted to be a boy. And that was how the parents started the journey for the child transitioning into a boy. And watching it myself, I won't lie to you, I was like, are these people mad? 4-year-old, where's the consent? Where is this? Where is that? This boy doesn't have this. Like, but then they documented this, and when the child was done, like literally halfway through transitioning, you can see the way he blossomed. Even the toys that they bought for him or for her, see me now, I've already accepted them. Even the toys they bought for her as in when she was a girl, she wasn't playing with it, but instead she was playing with her brother's toys and things like that. But when she became a boy, literally she flourished.
So to what extent would you say that stereotyping, where we use this concept of gaydar, is accurate? Do you feel that, I don't know that there are people who are straight and we would say, okay, this person is straight, but he dresses like he or she is gay. I mean, there are people that might do that because they want, especially like we talked about in fashion, you want that attention, and sort of being gay in fashion is fashionable. You know, pardon the pun. So, you know, what do you think about that? Do you think that people that actually go out of their way to look a certain way to get whatever dubious advantages there might be?
Absolutely.
Oh yes, sometimes people take advantage of this. I mean, I've done it once in a while. Like, if I have to go to a certain place, I dress a certain way just to be addressed in a certain way. I realize we are so celebrity fanatic in this country. So if you dress flashy, wear your rings, wear your this, and you go to a place and you speak small for them,
it works.
It automatically treats you like royalty. But we should dress.
Oh, but yes, that's standard.
I must be missing out.
You know? Because I had a stylist once, and the first time he met me, he's like, oh my gosh, your hair. But it didn't sit right. You know, it looked like he was acting. Like, oh my goodness, your hair. Oh, darling, let me do this. And I'm like, finally, I told him, I'm like, bros, the only reason you're doing this is because to you, that's the impression everybody must have of a stylist. Even within the LGBT community, there are people that feel that because I look this way, I have to act this way. So, you know, you have tomboys who, because I like to be seen in pants and a shirt, I have to be a guy. I can't have emotions. I can't, you know, express myself. And to what extent do you think that LGBT people feel pressurized to conform to the stereotypes that we impose on them? You know, we're talking about a heteronormative way of engaging people where you're either a guy or a girl. You can't be
in between.
Yes, you know. So how do you feel? Do you feel that LGBT people feel that pressure? That because I look this way, you know, I'm a guy and I can't be showing, people cannot be seeing me crying. Does it affect even relationships where one must be the guy and one must be the girl, even though that's not really who you feel like you are inside? Do you think that happens?
Oh yes, a lot. Not even, but limiting it from the LGBT community overtly. Everybody, one way or the other, is pressurized to look a certain way, act a certain way based on certain stereotypes or whatever. But particularly to the LGBT community, it's like something that it's a mental situation. At the end of the day, it results with either a mental breakdown or a psychological breakdown or something of sort, because what you're forcing these people to live two different lives, and at a certain point,
but do you think anybody's forcing them, or they're growing up just accepting that if this is who I say I am, this is how I must act, or if this is what I say I want to be, then this is how I must look? So you might have, for instance, a gay boy, for instance, who doesn't. He doesn't feel like he needs to be flamboyant in his look, but the gay boys are flamboyant. Yeah. So even though I don't feel like I'm particularly, you know all that thing about if you're gay, if you're fashionable, you're this. I don't feel fashionable, but now so when I say ma be, so ma just stay like that.
Follow.
You know, Does that happen?
Oh, it happens a lot. I don't know if you have anything to say, but it happens a lot, and you find out that at the end of the day, these people, within the circle of their friends, within their group, they become isolated because what? After a while, they lose themselves. They don't even know who they are any longer. Yeah. And that, like I said, leads to a mental breakdown or some psychological effect, which is usually
I see quite a lot of young people in the LGBT community who are conflicted about their identity and about how people perceive them. And I think some of it also is to do with how they think they should act or be.
Yes.
Sorry, I have this Skype call meeting like in 2 minutes, so
sorry.
I really have to go.
Time. Bye.
I hope you do come up soon before you leave. Sweetheart, good job.
Have fun.
See you later. Right. Okay, bye guys.
Because it does seem to me to be very damaging.
I think it is, and I think our biggest problem really for this sector is our sisters who are lesbians and as our brothers, men sleeping with men. Why do I say it's a big problem? There's a lot of perception, artificial perception of how the community expects them to behave.
Yes, actually, even within the community, there are expectations of behavior. So if we're already having this issue within the community, and we're trying to fight it from outside the community, how do you think we can get to a point where people can just be them? Or should am I being unnecessarily idealistic?
No, I think we should. I think it will evolve eventually when they begin to find their voice. I think at the moment, there's a lot of looking at what America and all these other places have done. I think if they stop looking at those places and just focused on themselves, you will find that they will find the right balance of what they need to do, how they need to do it, the perception about themselves. Because at the end of the day, we're on the continent. It's hot, it's sticky. You don't have to wear... We're on the continent. We've got enough problems as it is. You know, you define your identity for yourself.
And thank you, Iheoma. I think that's just the perfect way to round this up, that we must give people the space to claim their identities. As individuals, we must claim our own identities and we must own them. And if you're one of these people that is guilty of stereotyping people, think about it. At the very least, you're putting someone in a box and you're not engaging with them as an individual. You're engaging with them based on characteristics that you have been told mean something. It's discriminatory. It puts a lot of mental and psychological pressure on people who feel that they have to conform to what they've been told they should look like, or who feel like they're in conflict because they don't look like they've been told they must look. It's not really helpful, it's not really healthy, and I think we must give ourselves the opportunity to get to know everybody on a one-on-one basis. What are your thoughts though? Guys, make sure you check us out on all the social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter at Tears Nigeria. And share your contributions using the hashtag Untold Facts too. We want to hear from you. Are you somebody who feels like you've been stereotyped? Are you somebody who's like, I used to stereotype, but maybe this isn't healthy? Or do you just have an opinion that we haven't even thought of yet? Share it or bring it, or we really, really want to hear it. Now, we'll be back again with another episode of Untold Facts, but thank you so much for joining us today. Have a wonderful day, and bye-bye.